Hello my friend and welcome to today's video. In this video, I'm going to be running you through 10 different methods that you can use to improve your show up rate for calls. Now, if you're doing cold calling or if you're getting appointments through cold outbound, it's typical that your show rate can be quite poor if you don't have a system or a set of processes that enable you to bump it up. Like even if you're not yet booking appointments, this video is still important because I can tell you now that once you do figure out how to book appointments, you have to figure out how to get them to show up. So don't click off this even if you're not like, oh, I'm not booking appointments yet, so I don't need it, because you will when you book them. So we've got 10 things. They're all very easy to do. They do require some work. Right, so newsflash, if you want to improve your show rate, you have to actually put some effort into getting the person to show up. This doesn't necessarily have to be you that does it. Yes, you can outsource it to a virtual assistant, but if you're making less than 10 grand a month, you should probably do it yourself. All right, so I've got a little list here on my computer and let's get started. So step number 1, if you're booking through cold calling, then you want to double check on the appointment. So what I mean by this is you say, like I say to you, Mr. Prospect, great, let's have a chat. How does Friday 3 p.m. work? Let me give you some advice here. I'm actually going to add this as another thing. Let them choose the time. So what people one of the common tactics with cold calling is, oh, do you want to do Thursday at 6 or Friday at 3? And what happens is a lot of people will book with you even when they have no intention to book. They just want you to go away, right? And so this sort of the duality approach of this time or this time, as opposed to yes or no, what I prefer to do is I say, I want to get a conversation in. What would be good for you today or tomorrow? Right? So we're still asking them today or tomorrow, but what we're not doing is we're giving them specific times, because what we want them to do is suggest a time. Because if they suggest a time, then that time is their idea, which means they're held way more accountable towards doing it. Human beings, we have this natural tendency to like our own ideas, okay? So if you say to someone, hey, do you want to talk at 6 or do you want to talk at 8, right? And then they're like, I'll just do 8. But if you say to them, right, let's get a conversation in, I'm keen, let's do it today or tomorrow, what time works for you out of those 2 days? Like 2 p.m, that might be a good, that's such a good time, it works really well for me. Just that subtle difference, it's their idea, it's their time, therefore they're held way more accountable to actually showing up. People follow through on their own ideas. So double checking on the appointment. So once you have, this is a cold calling strategy, once you have got the appointment locked in, you want to confirm it. You just want to say to them, hey, are you absolutely certain you can definitely make 2 p.m. tomorrow? Are you absolutely sure? And then they say yes, and you say, forgive me, I'm going to ask you one more time, are you certain? The only reason you couldn't make it is if you got abducted by aliens or something like that, right? You want to triple confirm the appointment. So, okay, we'll do 2 p.m. tomorrow. Just confirming, can you definitely do that? Just confirming again. I don't want to sound like a stuck record, but are you sure? Like, is there any reason you wouldn't be able to do that? Like, just think with me now, anything going on 2 p.m. tomorrow that would stop you from doing that? And then they'll think, because that's what you want them to do. Because most people agree to these calls without actually having put any thought into what they're doing at that time. And so what you want to do is just double run them through the confirmation. You sure? There's definitely nothing going on. Then what you want to do, if you're on this is more for cold calling, right? But if you're on a cold call and you book an appointment and someone you want them to show up, just spend 2 minutes qualifying them. Though I'm not a fan of qualifying leads, but what I mean by this is on your Calendly, right? Because what you should be doing is you should be taking their information, their phone, name and email, and then plugging that into a Calendly link on your end. So you don't send them the Calendly link and get them to fill it out on a cold call. You do obviously through cold email or something, but you ask them for their details and then you schedule the Calendly event so then they receive confirmation, reminders, etc. But what you also want to do is just have a few extra questions, because the more information they give you, once again, the more accountable they are to showing up. If I pull up our Calendly form here, I can sort of tell you exactly what questions I'd be asking them. So we've got an example of what do you sell? Right? What products do you sell? I wouldn't ask them for their current monthly revenue. What's your target monthly revenue? What do you want to be doing? What's the problem that's stopping you from hitting that target? How many extra appointments can you handle in the next 30 days? Are you the sole decision maker? Just spend a couple of minutes. Not even that. It can just be 60 seconds, just getting some information from them, because then they've given you something. There's a effect in psychology called the Ben Franklin effect. And there's this idea where we think that people are more likely to do us favors if we do them favors, right? which is reciprocity, but someone's actually way more likely to do something for you if they've already done something for you in the past, because it aligns with the commitment, consistency bias, and the altruistic nature of the human condition. So it's pretty cool. The next thing is obviously Calendly reminders, a very obvious one, right? With Calendly reminders, the best thing is just simplicity, and Calendly just don't change the reminders that are by default. So you want one going out the day before, an hour before, 10 minutes before. Simple. Text and email. Literally just, hey, John, a reminder your appointment is at this time. Nothing else. You don't want to be complicating that or making it all weird and shiny. It's just simple. Simple works so much better. Now, next big thing. I sort of alluded to this earlier, is scheduling today or tomorrow. Here's the thing. The further out into the future the appointment is scheduled, the less likely the prospect is to show up. Right, so there is a direct correlation between time of schedule, like the time that has to elapse or the latency of the event, right, happening, and that prospect not sticking to their word of showing up, okay? So try and get the schedule for today, and if not, tomorrow. If that doesn't work, then try and go for 2 days. After that, you can start kissing goodbye to decent show rates. Next thing, this is the big one that nobody really has thought of. You shouldn't have heard of this before. I was just writing out some ideas and this came to my mind. Name the Calendly event after your offer. So what's going to happen with Calendly, right, is you should have calendar confirmations on. So you don't want event confirmations, you want to set up calendar invites so that the person is invited to the event. So Calendly allows you to have calendar invites or like event confirmations. You want to go for calendar invite. Because what you want to do is you want to name the event something like, let's say that you work with, let's say you work with gyms. Your offer is, I will get you 30 new members in the next 30 days, or whatever it might be. You want to name the event of the calendar thing, Calendly, after your offer, so that when the prospect sees that in their calendar, which they will, they are reminded of why they should be showing up in the first place. I'm going to add this, the most important thing to a show rate is your offer. That's because everything comes down back to the offer, and obviously the offer's built on the product. So surprise, surprise, as you know, if you've watched enough of my videos, it all comes back to the product. But generally speaking, by naming the event after the offer, they are reminded as to why they should show up. It's like, oh, I've got a call with that guy who called me. It's on the thing. Oh, what is it about? Oh yeah, 30 members in 30 days. Yeah, I remember that. And then you just call it. You can just name it like 30 members in 30 days call. Because these guys have been burned by discovery calls, strategy sessions, whatever the hell it is, demos, etc. So yes, just remember to do that. And also don't be afraid to put your name on there. 30 members in 30 days with Charlie or something like that. Because they should remember your name. But here's the thing, if I talk to you today and we schedule a call for 3 days from now, you are not going to remember who I am. You won't remember my offer. You won't remember who I am. So one way to remedy that is to have this event naming sort of system, right? The next stage, once you've booked the appointment, what I like to do is I like to basically appear everywhere in this person's life. Okay, so this is once again more for cold calling. You can do this for cold email, for cold DMs. What I would typically do, this is what I used to do with cold calling, is if someone books an appointment with me, I would find them on LinkedIn and connect with them on LinkedIn. I would find them on Facebook and I would friend them on Facebook. I'd find them on Instagram and I'd follow them on Instagram, right? And I'd like some of their stuff. What I would then do is I would send them an email with a loom telling them how excited I am. So this is the thing. I don't want to use the words emotionally manipulate, but I'm going to use them anyway. You want to emotionally manipulate the person because you want to send them a loom and say, dude, I'm so excited you booked. I'm so excited to talk to you. It's going to be amazing. Really, that's made my day because I think it's such a good fit. And you just want to basically bring up so much enjoyment that if that person watches that loom and they don't show up, they're going to feel so bad, right? So it's a great strategy because obviously you're telling the truth as well. So it's not really manipulation because you can't really manipulate someone if you're telling the truth. So we're going for LinkedIn, we're going for Facebook. Sometimes I'd even send them a WhatsApp voice note and just be like, hey man, you've probably seen me everywhere, but I just wanted to make myself as available to you as humanly possible so that if you do need to change the event time, you can use whichever platform suits you best, right? So that's what I would do is I would basically appear everywhere in their life all at once. And then I'd send them a message and say, hey, by the way, I know you probably see me everywhere, but that's just so that you can contact me should you need me, should you want to change the time, right? Because you have to give them a reason, otherwise it's a bit weird. What I would then do, like I said, is send them a personalized loom. Okay, so quick 1 minute loom, like I said, bigging myself up, like saying, oh my God, I'm so excited, I'm so happy, I'm so amazed, oh God, this is amazing, blah, 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 blah. Through the channels that you're connecting with them on, you want to reiterate the time. Now, you don't want to do this with everything, because if you do it like too much, then it'll piss them off. But like, you know, on WhatsApp, like, hey man, like, once again, I'm just sending you a WhatsApp message. Obviously, I've sent you like friend requests and stuff elsewhere. To know this is the easiest way to contact you, but looking forward to talking to you tomorrow at 2. And then on LinkedIn, like, hey John, awesome to connect. Look, I enjoyed our phone call earlier. Talk tomorrow at 2. That's like in that initial connection message. Okay, that makes sense? Getting that tomorrow at 2, or getting that like the time that you've booked in front of them over and over again is a good way, because people just like, so if someone schedules an appointment, usually they have the intention to show. But what happens with intention is it decreases over time as memory fades. So the reason people don't show up is simply because they forget why they booked in the first place. This is literally as simple as that. And so what we need to do here is just between the call happening and the call actually happening, between calling them and then obviously having the discovery call, we just need a consistent reminder of the time and why they booked. And example, you can send them testimonials, you can send them whatever, I don't care. Last but not least is calling them the day of the appointment. Call them up in the morning and just say, hey John, it's Charlie, just kept calling to confirm today at 2. I know you've probably seen me everywhere, but just want to, you know, I want this to happen. Still on? Still good? Perfect. And that's it. I think that's probably like 11 or 12 different ways you can get people to show up. But, you know, I've never really had a problem getting people to show up, man. Like, I've always just done stuff like this. It's just effort. At the end of the day, it just requires a little bit of effort and a little bit of doing, to be honest. What you have to also understand is that if you've got a really bad show rate, what's probably happening is you're probably booking people who don't want to book, right? And they're booking just to make you go away. Sometimes I see people who have like a 20% show rate on their cold calls. They have like 20% show rate on the people they book. And I'm like, dude, like, you're booking people that don't want to be booked. Like, you're obviously just being like way too pushy or something, and you can't read the signs. And like, people are just saying, okay, yeah, just put me in, and they don't want to be. They're either too agreeable or the market doesn't want to come across as rude, and so they just don't. They just won't. They'll never show because they never want to book the appointment. If you are at a stage in your business where you need more appointments, there's a link in the description. You can click. It's designed to sell you something. Blah 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 blah. Video of me, etc. Trying to sell you my program. Go and check it out if you want more clients. If you don't, I don't care. It's fine. If you've been watching for some time and you're new, subscribe if you want to. It's an ego vanity metric for me. It doesn't really matter, but it makes me feel happy. So do that if you want to make me feel happy. And like the video, comment anything below, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day. Take care.